Hello, I'm Brita, Webmistress of the Dark. Today I'm going to show you how to make my simple, spooky specters. They're very inexpensive and easy to make ghosts that are so ancient that you can't really make out their features anymore, so they're extra eerie. So you'll need some fabric, a skull as lightweight as possible, a couple cheap latex gloves, and some wire, a little bit of monofilament fishing line, and a push pin, some scissors, and some wire cutters. So let's start. Pick your skull. You want a lightweight skull, so hollow plastic is great. Even foam will work fine. This is just a solid blow foam mold. There's a lot of skulls available that are really cheap these days. You can even use one of the latex ones, but I like to reserve these for that you're not going to cover them up with fabric. I think they look pretty good. I used to find these plain skulls a lot, and I would go ahead and age them with some brown paint, but you don't really need to worry about the aging so much because you're going to cover these with fabric and you're only going to see the major features through it anyway. So you need to be able to hang this ghost from the top of the skull. First, poke a hole in the top of your skull with a push pin. Wiggle it around, work it so you have a nice good hole. Then cut a length of wire. It just needs to be a short one. Paperclip weight is good. Too much thinner than that and your ghost won't be sturdy enough. Otherwise, if it's too heavy, like clothes hanger wire, it's probably too much. It's going to be hard to work with. So just a short length of wire is fine. Put a little bend in the end so it won't slide right out of the skull once you put it in. And stick that in the hole. That'll be enough to hold up the skull. It shouldn't fall out. Then you can take the rest and bend it around in a loop for your fishing line. There you go. So now we're ready for the fabric. So I like using this loose weave muslin. It's very see-through and it looks like it's already ancient. It comes all crinkly anyway. You don't have to worry about if it make it crease when you sew it or anything. It has this nice ragged edge. It looks like it's completely ancient and been haunting for years. I take roughly the middle of the chunk just so I have enough on each side for where the body of the ghost is, so to speak. And this is loose weave muslin, so you have big enough air holes between the weave that you can just work it open a little bit and slip that over the hook you've made in your skull. Flip the fabric back over. There you have the body of your ghost. Okay, before we lose our hook, I'm going to put some fishing line. Now I usually leave a really long tail because I don't know where I'm going to hang these from year to year. I change things up each year, of course. You got to keep things new for your party guests and for yourself. So I make a nice long tail because you can always knot it off shorter and hang it somewhere else, and this stuff is clear. You never see it, especially in dark party lighting. So I'm going to put, remember I'm going to double this, so that's probably good. We'll cut it off here, and so I just thread it through like a needle through my little hook. And then I just tie off the two ends together, so I've got one big loop to hang it. And you might want to double knot it just for safety. Sometimes the fishing line can be a little slippery. And there you have a way to hang your ghost. Now you could leave your ghost like this if you want to, but I think they look a little spookier with arms that are reaching out, haunting. So we're going to do that next with the gloves. Now that I have the fishing line and the hook through my skull, it's a lot easier just to figure out where your hands are going to be for the ghost by hanging it. So I have a little hook here, and it's easier if you can support the skull with one hand while you thread the fishing line through the hook in the other. So that's probably going to be good there. I'll just tie this off. There we go. There's our ghosty. Now I need to figure out where I'm going to tie his hands. Figure out how it's going to go. That's a pretty good bottom edge there. I think like one hand here and one hand here. That'll probably look pretty good. So take your glove, blow it up. Probably don't want it too much sausage looking like that. A little bit out so it looks more like a real hand. Tie it off just like a balloon. These don't last very well from year to year, and they're cheap enough that it's easy enough to just use another glove for the next year when you take the ghost out of storage. So there's one hand. Okay, both hands. Now I need 2 more loops. Again, I make these kind of long because I never know from year to year where the ghost is going to go. Now we have 2 loops of monofilament. So I'm going to take this with no needle. It's stiff enough at the end to go ahead and poke it through the weave in the fabric. So I'm going to take where I think I want the hand to go, and I'm going to go ahead and work it through the fabric. So I have the knot in the end of my fishing line there. Now I'm going to work that through the weave of the muslin. You see that it has a very open weave, so it's really easy just to take a couple bits, open it up, and work the fishing line knot right through it, just like that. I don't slide it all the way through because it will come all the way because it's just a loop right now, until I put a hand in the end. So I'm going to use this one. Go ahead and loop it through a little more, and I loop it right between the thumb and forefinger, and then I kind of stick it back around on the knot, how I glued it like a balloon. So go ahead and just get it so it will hold the string from falling through the fabric, and then tie it off on your hook where you think you want it, probably about there. Don't worry about how the hand looks right now because you can adjust that later. So I'm just going to thread this through my hook and tie it off. Then I'm going to adjust how I want the hand to look. So I think about there is good. Tie it off. You use the fabric to your advantage. It will drape the hand, it will hold it in place. You might want to adjust your fishing line a little bit. You might go across the hand a little more. If you have a really big windstorm, these probably won't last outside too much, but if it's just a little breeze, they flutter really nicely. I've finished adjusting the hands and how I want this ghost to look. I think it looks pretty good. I like the little spooky angle we got going. It's coming after you. You don't know what it's going to do. So you might need to adjust the fabric a lot. You just keep adjusting, squish it here, squish it there, how you like. Because the fabric is all one piece, if you actually scoot it one way, it might pull the hand into a more natural angle and a cocked little way. You might have to do a little bit more adjusting with the head to keep the face the way you want it to point. Other nice thing about these is they store very easily from year to year. So I just leave the string in the skull, leave it that way so it stays, you know, where it is. I tie a loose knot because otherwise it can get tangled up in the rest of the fabric. And I keep the strings for the hands, loop them in a loose knot as well, but I take the gloves out because they're not going to stay inflated, and often they won't, the next year they won't keep their air inflated if you try and store it from year to year because the latex doesn't stay around. It often degrades in heat. It's not meant to last. So you can wrap up your ghost this small and stick them in your Halloween box and you're ready to go the next year. Just undo it. Pull the, there's the one for the string. Here's for the arms. And you're almost ready to go for another ghost. Put it inside or outside, wherever you'd like your ghost to haunt. I've had them in various places. I really like them in trees a lot, especially because they're paler than the greenery you have in your yard at night. So even without a lot of lighting, they will stand out against the dark areas of your yard. You can also use them inside, draping in a corner. They're often nice to hide light sources because you can actually put them in front of a light source. It'll diffuse for you, actually give a little bit of a glow, but you won't actually see the light bulbs. So here you have a simple spooky spectre. I hope you've enjoyed watching today. For more projects like this, you can buy my book Eerie Elegance at eerieelegance.com. I hope you have a fabulous Halloween and happy haunting!